can start leg riding, I can start going to claws, I can go into Nelsons, I can do all kinds of things from here, okay? So the second that your partner goes and starts grabbing your leg, whether it be from side control, we'll look at it later, from side control or from half guard, it just makes no sense. It only makes sense if she goes to grab the leg and you're doing this. Sure, maybe now it could work. I'll never do that though. I'll just stay here. So now, when she goes to start bridging, it's just a useless position. And now, the overextension becomes a liability for her, and we can start flattening our partner out relatively easy, and we can start pommeling the legs and beating it from this position. Anytime that there's not forward weight onto your hands, you can always get to that far wrist, you can always get to a reach back crossface. You should just never really be grabbing your partner's leg from that position. All right, so if our partner just tries to grab the leg before she comes up, then you're gonna end up in a situation where you can reach back crossface easy. The problem starts to arise when you try to go for a reach back crossface and your partner heists, okay? Which is why I generally, if I know someone's just gonna heist from here, I generally will use a leg Turk to start sitting my partner down, and I will go for a reach back crossface. You'll see this a lot in rolling. But in the event that we're here, and she goes to start getting up from this position, the leg Turk will kill her ability to start heisting. So if she tries to heist from here, we just cover the hips, and then we can start leg turking with the leg and rotating our partner down like so. Okay, another thing that we can do from here is if she's trying to heist from this position, she's not really focused on pulling my hands to the floor. So as she goes to start heisting, I can use this over back grip, whether it be here or whether I can reach through and grab my own hamstring. Okay, I don't really recommend grabbing my own hamstring from this position, because now if she's just trying to heist from here, just pull her hips out. This is a good way to wedge your partner in place, but it's also a good way for her to start using the elbow to start getting your hands to the floor, No, elbow on my back. Plug my hands to the floor, like this, okay? If you have this grip in tight, maybe it's wedged in place tight and she goes to do that, you can just face plant yourself and end up in a position which ends up being way worse. Okay, so she's just trying to heist, grabbing her hamstring can work. I don't usually recommend it because it's almost too much of a wedging effect and doesn't give you the time to start posting your hand out. So what I'll do is as she goes to start pulling my hands to the floor, I have my hands to post. As she goes to start heisting, I'll just put the over back grip in place here. So now when she goes to start pulling her hips out, it's gonna be difficult. When she goes to put my hands to the floor, I just post. We can go back and forth nice and fast between the two. Now, if I go to reach back crossface, and she heists from here, the second she goes to heist in this position, the big danger is that if she reaches over and grabs my leg and takes a step around my body and dominates my hip, grab my leg, and steps around my hip like so, now you're in a pretty precarious position because you can't really base out from here. She's already kind of dominating the far hip and she's in a position where she can start really just stepping over and using her chest to just knock me backwards in this direction here, okay? So how do we address this? A couple different ways we can do this. First, as she goes to heist from this position, we're just gonna move from an over back grip to a grip where we drape over our partner's head. So as she goes to pull her knee out and goes to heist up, we're just gonna start taking a post on our partner's knee and just sit into a situation where we're in a seated karagatame. And now right from here, we can use the seated karagatame in many different ways. We can, number one, finish a seated karagatame. We can, number two, start hooking over our partner's leg, start pulling ourselves into a situation where we have a hook. And then we can start using this to start going in and pulling our partner through and start attacking our partner's back. And so if we can beat our partner by opening up the knees in time, this is gonna be a good option to start working from here. So right from here, as she goes to start, if I'm trying to reach back crossface and I miss her and she goes to heist, as she goes to heist, immediately we play in the game just like this. Or now right from here, we just sit into a seated karagatame. Now right from here, when she goes to start using an over back grip, she can't do it. When she goes to start jumping across or doing anything, it's a pretty easy thing to start playing a game where we can start countering, seated karagatame, we can start taking our partners back, we can start locking cradles from this position, taking our partner back over, a lot of different scrimmaging options that we have right from there, okay? If I see from this position that my partner comes up and I'm a little bit late and she starts to get over my knee, like let's say she goes to come up from here and she already beats my leg right from this position, the first thing we're looking to do from here, immediately as she goes to come up, come back. As she goes to come up from here, as she goes to heist, we're gonna hit an elbow cut back and get behind our partner's elbow. So now, as she steps around my hips and tries to grab my legs from here, from this position, when she goes to start pushing me over, we can put a far side thigh pry in. We can make it difficult now because my hands are behind her armpits. Now when she goes to start knocking me backwards from this position, it's going to be difficult. We can start going in and using claw grips to start opening that hand up and away, and she goes to lock in tight. We can go in and we can start pushing towards her. So now we can get, what she needs is to start leaning my hip over the outside of my knee. So as she goes to start running around to my far side hip, we can start getting behind the elbows and using this claw grip, or we can start reaching through, grab here. We can start reaching through and going into a one-on-one and stripping this hand off. If we can get behind the elbows, we'll be in a relatively safe position from here, okay? The main thing is that what she needs is my hip falling outside my foot here. So once we get into situations like this, she grabs my leg. The whole thing is we want to get into positions here where I can start leaning with that thigh pry into her hips. So now when she goes to start building height and moving around, it's going to be difficult from here, and now her back is exposed, okay? And later into the threshold, where I feel like I can't get behind my partner's arm, and she reaches over, so she comes up, she heists through, and she grabs my foot. We have this reach back crossface. Hey, this is going to be one of the most difficult things to deal with, because now it's hard to strip my partner's grip from here. Big problem that everyone makes, the big mistake everyone makes, is they try to lock back, head, and arm from this position. Like, oh man, the back's exposed. The back isn't exposed because your partner's hips aren't between your knees. So when you try to take your partner's back, now you try to open up your knee, and from here, she immediately just starts stepping over. Now you're beat from this position, okay? If at any point you feel that you can start falling and opening up your knee and beating your partner to sit back to that seated kagatame, you can do that. The problem is if she steps well around or like starts hooking my leg, for example, now from here, you're going to lose this battle. So the second I see that I'm not going to be able to start opening up my knee and she just has my knees beat, she has my hips beat from here, we're going to post our hand on the floor, we're going to open our knee up. What she can do is she can stop my foot from sprawling out. What she can't do is stop my knee from moving out in this direction. If she tries to grab it with her right hand, we can always switch to a one-on-one. Now we have a post hand. Now when she goes to start walking me down, we just open our knee up. And then from here, we put a far side thigh pry in. Now, when we go to scrimmage from here, she goes to knock me over, we just extend our right leg and just walk our right hip into hers. So now when she goes to start walking around my body, it's gonna be hard for her to win a scrimmage from there. So we get deeper and deeper into this position and work through the thresholds. If we see that she comes up and we can start moving into positions like this where we can beat her hip, now we're in the driver's seat. If we see we can get behind the elbow from positions like this, now when she goes to beat me, now we're in the driver's seat. And if we see that she's in the driver's seat and she starts stepping all the way around, maybe she hooks my leg, maybe she gets deeper and deeper into this move. Now from here, as she goes to start working, we just open that knee up and we move right to a thigh pry. Now when we move to a thigh pry, we have a post hand, we have a post leg. What she wants to do is she wants to knock me in the position where I have no post, which is behind me in this direction. So my whole thing from here is to straighten my leg, start leaning into her and pushing forward out in this direction. So when she goes to start walking me down, it's going to be difficult for her. Now, right from here, the whole thing, as always, is we go in, we cover the hips, we get behind the hips, we put the hips between our knees, and now we can start attacking from turtle position. Okay, so just some options. If she comes up and she grabs my leg, they're trying to reach back cross face. We don't want our partner to get up, but if she does get up, those are three good options to counter from that position and work into back into counter offense. So you see people grabbing their hamstrings from these positions, and You see it from various positions, but again, like super easy to deal with. We'll deal with it in stages, but we'll deal with it right now where she just builds up to the over back grip. And then from here, she reaches and she grabs her own hamstring, like this, okay? Now, the intention of this is to just create a tighter wedge around me, around my body. But again, it does nothing to stop me from using my hands, okay? Because now, because her elbow's lower, it's not as bad as her grabbing my leg, but grabbing her own leg kind of wedges her in place as well. And a lot of times you see this, like if she builds it up to a knee, I'll get iced all the way up. Okay, you see stuff like this now. Now when she grabs.
Got it.
Okay, now it's like a little bit better, but it's still like super easy to defend, which we'll go over later. But if at any point she does grab her own leg and you feel like you're wedged in place from here, it's a relatively easy thing to just hit a reach back crossface because her elbow's low. So right from here, the second that she goes to start putting my hands on the floor, you just use a reach back crossface. Now she goes to keep that grip. It's a relatively easy thing to flatten her out. Grip up. It's a relatively easy thing to start leaning situations like this and pulling everything towards me. It's a relatively easy thing to start flattening her out in positions like this and then separating the hands, okay, which we'll look at later when we go into leg Turks. But it's just the best grip you can use from here is just the overback grip itself. Like anyone can complicate it. It takes anyone can overcomplicate anything. It takes a genius to keep it simple. Like just use the overback grip. It's the best grip. It keeps weight in the hands. It's better than like grabbing the leg or your own leg. Just use the overback grip. So if they do grab their legs, and we'll look at this a little bit later from various positions, but if they do grab their own hamstring, it just allows you to take your hands off the floor and use your hands. The whole reason the position is effective from bottom is because you can keep weight on your partner's hands. If you can't do that, then you're going to get cross-face every single time. All right, so now let's look at using a Turk, like a wrestling Turk, in half guard to start flattening my partner out. Right? If my partner is doing a good job and she has a strong overback grip and keeps my hands on the floor, a Turk will work very well to flatten my partner out. And there's a very specific way that we do this, and there's a very specific reason why it works. If I feel like I can't get my hands off the floor from here, okay, so she's doing a really good job of keeping weight on my hands, and I'm trying to hit the reach back crossface, and every time I do, I just feel like it's not working from here. All we're going to look to do is we're going to look to start taking a rotation of my partner's body. Okay. So the way that I do that is I start turning my hips. The big problem is when people try to flatten people out from here is they push up towards the shoulder line. So she can just take her elbow, just take your elbow above your shoulder line. So now when I push, I'm pushing into her base of support. She has a strong base of support in this direction. She has no base support in this